Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. We're going to get rolling here. So we have Chad on the line right now from the Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce, and also me, your host today, Leah Shilabad from Intech Solutions. Chad, I have just unmuted you. So don't say anything silly, only smart things.
Well, thank you very much for being on the webinar, and we are working with businesses to make sure that they know the details. And I'm happy that your family, and I wish you are healthy.
Oh, thank you very much, Chad. So just to give everybody really quickly an understanding of what how this came to be, we all know that things have been happening so quickly over the last few weeks. Things change from day to day, sometimes hour to hour. We found it was really imperative for us to be able to get information out to the membership, our friends and our clients, people that we really care about, as soon as possible, especially to be able to take advantage of the funds that will be available through the PPP. Additionally, to be able to help everyone now to consider that we have, a long time that we're going to be working from home and displaced in a lot of cases, and a strategy for that. So I had contacted Chad 2 nights ago, and I said, because we have this information coming out, we can submit applications, what it looks like on Friday. We needed to get this out as soon as possible. We met with PNC yesterday to ask them if they would come on just to give us information. They'll be very clear when they're on the phone. All of this is totally information for businesses to be able to navigate this time. There's zero sales pitch from anyone here. In fact, a lot of it's possible that we can't help you and that you have to go to someone else to be able to help you. This is purely to be able to make sure that the people we care about are able to survive and even thrive during this time. So your subject matter experts today, I'm Leah Shilabad, the CEO of Intech Solutions. We're an IT firm here in Greensburg and a cybersecurity expert. We also have Chris Marino, the Senior VP of Banking at PNC, and also Tom Weichel will be on the line to deal specifically with SBA financing. Today, we're going to cover a few things. I'm briefly going to talk about switching gears for long-term work from home and what you should be thinking about as a strategy, some security considerations that you need to hedge against now that we are a completely displaced workforce, an overview of the disaster lending programs, clarifying some lending program misinformation because there's quite a bit of that out there. And then we want to be able to have enough time at the end of the call so we can do some Q&A and be able to answer questions. You can use the question and answer section at the bottom of your screen to be able to ask questions. And we're going to try to answer as many questions in advance, but please, we're going to make sure we have time to answer the questions that you have. So work from home is kind of here to stay for the foreseeable future. So right now, a lot of my clients contacted me to very quickly get mobilized to be able to do work from home or work from anywhere. Now it's time to take a step back and look for a more longer-term strategy. Maybe you just bootstrapped your current work environment so that you were able to function. Now you have to think about standardizing access to your business processes and standardizing the tool sets that you're using to do that. This may require some business process changes. No matter what it is that you decide on, it should be standardized, documented, and trained on across your organization. Your staff needs to be agile to perform the job duties from anywhere. Right now, that's home. And so you need to be thinking in terms of making sure that whatever you choose will allow your employees to be productive, secure, It needs to be economic for your organization, and it also needs to be realistic. There's lots of things we can do with technology, but we have to make sure we're choosing things that are realistic. Your remote access tools. So if you have an office and there is stuff that you need to be able to get from there in order to work from home, these are the 4 primary ways that you can do it. First is through a VPN connection. A lot of people have already been set up on VPN of some kind so that they can access their network. The second is remote desktop and remote desktop gateway services and remote desktop server. Those are all a little different things, but basically what that allows you to do is to connect to a computer that's in your office. Maybe that's a computer server, maybe that is the workstation that you usually use. RDP, remote desktop protocol, should only be used in conjunction with a VPN connection or RD gateway services. I'm saying that, and I apologize to everyone on the call if that sounds overly technical, but there is a way for you to be able to remote desktop into your network that would basically punches a hole inside the firewall and leaves your entire network open to hackers. You want to make sure that that is not how it's configured. There's also third-party softwares like LogMeIn or TeamViewer or GoToMyPC. Those kind of softwares usually have some kind of monthly recurring fee. And you can free yourself from the office entirely by leveraging cloud file sharing platforms like SharePoint, Google Drive, OneDrive, FileCloud, etc. I threw these up here in case anybody has any technical questions later that I can come back to, but we're not really going to do anything unless you have a question about this. So right now, your business processes are changing. They have changed, and you have to decide what they are going to be and standardize them. You need to decide on a video conferencing solution, because now when we have meetings, phone conversations just don't cut it. That you have to figure out what you're going to do for video conferencing. You want to pick one solution and standardize on that solution. My organization has chosen Zoom. Also, Teams is a very, Microsoft Teams is a very popular platform as well. It's included in a lot of Office 365 subscriptions. You want to make sure that you pick one solution that everyone in your organization is going to be using. Obviously, you get invited to meetings from different like vendors and customers and clients that might be a different solution. That's fine. Also have security considerations about the video conferencing solution that you choose. At this particular time, as I'm delivering this presentation, the most secure platform for video conferencing that is widely used is Microsoft Teams. Zoom was actually recently in the media getting some flack about the insecurities and vulnerabilities in their platform. Now, please understand, all these organizations want to keep their customers, so they will be releasing updates to fix bugs and to increase security. In fact, this morning, there was already a patch for Zoom to try to make it more secure. You can anticipate that happening, but also have that security consideration in your video conferencing solution, because if hackers are able to enter your video conferencing calls, maybe they can see material that you're sharing, they can listen to confidential information. This has to be a consideration. Also, your phone solution. Maybe you are going to go away from phone altogether, and maybe you're just going to do video conferencing, in which case you got to figure out what to do with that phone number that everyone's been using for a long time. Some of us already had voice over IP solutions, so it was not a big deal to take your desk phone home, or to be able to just have an app on your phone and have phone calls come there. Some of us are really tied to our offices with our phone solution, and you have to make a choice about what you're going to do long term and choose a solution for that. Also, your data sharing solution. Right now, some people have decided that they're just going to have a VPN connection, for instance, right back to the network. and be able to get to their data and information through that VPN connection. Maybe it's time to look at whether it makes sense to move your data to a cloud-based platform like Google Drive or SharePoint. Maybe, maybe not. But this is where you have to take a step back and figure out, what is my long-term strategy for these things? Same thing with application access. So some of these applications, like for instance, QuickBooks, a lot of us have a desktop version. There is a cloud version as well, freeing you from the desktop. Sometimes the cloud-based solutions are not going to be a good fit for your company. It depends on your industry, it depends on your data, it depends on what applications you use. There's a lot of things you have to think about there, but this is the time you want to think, because whatever you have in place may only be a stopgap and may not be a long-term solution that works for your company. The last thing to think about is internal communication. So if you're especially used to coming to an office, a physical location where you can meet with your team, talk to them regularly, right now, it is imperative to be able to increase the communication with your team at all times. And internally, I can tell you how we do this. You don't have to do what I do, but this is how we do it. Internally, we utilize the Instant Messenger Slack, and we have a process, and that is that if we're doing internal communication with our team, then we communicate inside of Slack. If we're doing external communication outside of our company, vendors, clients, people like that, then we will use email. We do not communicate internally in email. We separated those two so we can have internal communication in one place and external communication in another. It's really helping us to be able to collaborate better because we know where to find the internal communication. Now that you're not together, maybe you have to think about some better project or task management. Maybe you already have a software tool that does some kind of ticketing or project management. That's awesome. Hopefully it's web-based and you can use it from anywhere. There's a bunch of tools out there, from things like Trello to Microsoft Planner, where you can manage projects and tasks among your team in a centralized place that is web-based, so that you can continue to collaborate and still be on the same page. And the last thing doesn't have something to do exactly with technology, but you're going to need to have technology to facilitate it, and that is having established meeting rhythms. You've got good people on your team, and you want to make sure that you have a rhythm to keep everybody aligned and on the same page, and to be able to get information out there quickly, especially during this time where we have so many things changing so quickly. So at Intech, we've adopted a daily huddle every single day at 8:30, where we align the team of what our priorities are. Every person knows what their priorities are and they report on it. And then we have a weekly huddle where we're talking about what's going on this next sprint of this week. And then we also do a check-in at the end of the day with our team. It's really quick. We jump on Zoom and we say one word or phrase or how you're feeling, and if there's anything important that the team has to know for tomorrow. Just a check-in, because people are scared and they can't come together like they used to be able to. So uniting your team right now is really, really important. And again, when you make these decisions, the processes, the technology that you're using needs to be standardized across your entire organization, and it needs to be secured properly, and your team needs to be trained on the right way to use it and the right protocols. Quickly, work from home has introduced some very unique security issues, and not all companies have thought it through. In our experience, very few companies actually have any policies and procedures that relate to IT, let alone from work from home IT. Those things have to be decided upon and written down and communicated out. Right now, data loss protection is such a huge problem. You have to be real clear with where information should be and is allowed to be. You might have people working on home computers. Maybe they're saving some of the corporate data on those home computers, where it could get compromised or lost or deleted by accident. The decentralization of data can really happen very rapidly when we have this kind of environment. That's why standardizing these things are hugely important. And if you happen to be a company that had a bunch of laptops already and you just sent your people home, that's awesome. A lot of people didn't have that. A lot of people had desktops, and now they're either having people use their own home computers, maybe rented computers, and it's a consideration that you have to figure out, how can we now secure that? How can you make sure that the computers that people are working on are actually secure, and that they're not going to be potentially introducing some sort of issue of compromise into the environment, into your email, into your data. And the last thing I wanted to tell everybody is that hackers are taking advantage of the fear and the confusion that there is right now. You know, cybersecurity was really a huge buzzword that got pushed to the wayside. And I'm not saying that it is the most important thing for us to be concerned about right now, but we have to remember that right now, if you're a criminal, you're having a heyday. Everybody is running around scared and confused, and it's really easy to be able to trick people. And right now is the time that you cannot get ransomware on your server, that you cannot have your bank account compromised. We have to conserve cash. So this must be top of mind as we move forward, to make sure that that during this time where we are most vulnerable, that we still are able to have secured businesses. Okay. All right. Really quickly, I do have one question. Are files on the Google Drive secured and or encrypted? Would it be a safe way to transmit files? So that's an excellent question. This applies to all of the platforms. If you sign up for a free platform for any kind of file sharing, then you need to, it's not going to be secure, and it's not going to be encrypted, and don't use that for your business. If you sign up for Google Drive, that's like the Google apps, the G Suite Business. If you sign up for Microsoft and you're using their business application, then they have a higher level of security, and those things you can have trust in. But if you're not paying for it, then don't use it. Choose a platform that is that you are going to engage with and pay for, and then you'll know that it's secured. It's a good question. All right, Chris, have you?
Yeah, I'm on.
All right. Yay, Chris is here. Okay, so Chris,
I don't know if Tom
yourself.
is on now as well.
Okay. Let's see. Yes. All right.
He says he's talking.
All right. He was here. And oh, there he is. There we go. And there you are, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got promoted, so.
All right. Hey, thanks, Leah, and good afternoon, everybody. As she said, my name is Chris Marino. I'm Senior Vice President for Small Business Banking, and we're going to dispense with all the formality and the PNC commercial and all that kind of stuff and just get to it, because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions regarding, you know, the information that's out there. So in a moment, my partner, Tom Weichel, who's Vice President, Small Business Financing, he's a Business Development Officer here at PNC Bank. We're going to discuss what we know at this time regarding the government's response via the CARES Act. And more specifically, we'll probably be very brief with the EIDL loan that's out there and really try to focus on the PPP loan, which I know a lot of people have questions about. Let me be clear. You need to work with your current bank for the PPP loan. The EIDL is direct through the SBA. You can go on, you can apply today. We've had many customers do that a week plus ago. They've already received their money. Tom's going to go through some of this. We're going to speak to the known facts that are out there from the Treasury Department and from the SBA. I am going to apologize in advance because we both have a hard stop at 1:30, just because we're gearing up internally here at PNC to take care of our clients. But thank you in advance for your attention. Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. And can you hear me? First of all, make sure.
Yep, we can hear
Yep.
you, Tom.
Excellent.
Loud and clear.
Is there any way, Leah, for me to share a screen? Or no, is that not possible with this?
I want to say I believe so, but we should have
That's
practiced
okay.
in
I'll
advance.
start. Sorry, I'll just start talking. So yeah,
There
so this.
we go. I got an approval. Here we go. You should be able to
Let's see
share
if
your
this
screen.
works. All right, no, it's just let me control yours. That's okay. So we'll start talking here. I sent a comparison to Leah that hopefully she can share with Chad, who can then share with the membership of the chamber. And Chad, nice to see you virtually again. It's been a few years. So Chad and I had a relationship back when he was the head of the Monroeville Chamber as well. So always nice to see him. And I think we have some stuff up on the screen now, but yeah, I know first and foremost what Chris said is 100% true. So the federal government is asking all the banks to participate in this payroll protection plan program. Biggest reason why is, you know, a lot of what Leah was talking about with fraud and with, you know, bad actors, if you will, out there that are going to try and take advantage of this program. So they're asking clients to go work with the bank that they have their business relationship with, their business depository relationship, and they're asking every bank to handle their clients. Because if not, there's going to be some additional KYC, so know your customer information, that we will all need to collect that potentially could slow down your application and slow down your access to this money that's available through the program. So as Chris said, you know, we'll talk about the EIDL a little bit, but we're going to focus more on the payroll protection plan, sorry, the PPP. So the EIDL, as Chris said, is up to $2 million. It's direct through the federal government. There is no collateral being taken for any loan under $25,000. They're treating that as an unsecured loan for the EIDL. They are requiring a personal guarantee on any loan over $200,000. Anything under $200,000 through the EIDL will not have a personal guarantee. Purpose of the EIDL loan, as far as the SBA is concerned and the federal government, is it's for working capital needed till resumption of normal operations, paid sick leave, payroll, increased costs to obtain materials due to interrupted supply chains, pay obligations that cannot be met due to revenue loss, and for other uses, rent or mortgage payments. So it's kind of a catch-all program for anything. It's a 30-year loan. 3.75 is the interest rate for for-profit companies. This is open to 501c3 organizations. And I think it should be on the screen there. Yeah. It should be open to 501c3s. The EIDL, since it is a loan direct through the government, it is not open to religious organizations. But for other 501c3s, as you can see, it is open to. And there is you can see the forgiveness and grants, up to a $10,000 forgivable grant may be provided in addition to the EIDL to be used for paid sick leave, payroll, increased costs, again, supply chains, all that kind of stuff. That money, the grant money, is supposedly, and we haven't seen the program in action yet, once you're approved, you can request that, and the $10,000 would be in your checking account. The federal government's telling us within 3 business days of your request of those funds. So once approved, you have to say, yes, I want the grant, and then they push the money into your checking account. That's the EIDL. The program that's getting more of the publicity now is, and now I just took control. There we go. Nope, I just figured out I can take control, Leah, so that works out even better. Sorry for the technical, as Leah said, you know, I think she reached out to us yesterday. We agreed to do this because we know the situation that's out there, and we just wanted to provide some information the best we know, because we know there's a lot on the news. There's a lot everywhere right now that people are hearing about this program. And so we wanted to give you some fact-based information together on what's going on with the program. So the PPP program, it's open to U.S. businesses, again, 501c3s, tribal businesses, sole proprietors, contractors, veteran organizations, all with less than 500 employees, or meeting the SBA's current size standards. Those are available on the SBA's actual website. Affiliation rules apply. So again, these are available on the website, but it's basically if you're somebody who owns something extremely large, a lot of wealth, and you own another company, you may still be subject to the size standards based on affiliation. They've waived the affiliation rules for hospitality and dining firms, franchises, and businesses who are currently receiving SBIC assistance. The loan amount will be calculated 2.5 times average monthly payroll over the last year, with a maximum of $10 million for the PPP. So the PPP, as the name indicates, it's a payroll protection plan. They are trying to help businesses still meet their payroll, bring people back to work, keep people on the payroll. And so that's really the intent behind the PPP program here. So there's 2 other calculations. Again, all this stuff's available on the SBA's website. We have a couple documents I can share with Leah and Chad after the call that they can push out to you guys as well. Payroll including wages, health insurance payments, retirement payments. That's everything that's included in the monthly payroll calculation. So it's everything you would normally be paying your employees for. Again, we talked about this a little bit. Payroll support is including paid sick, family medical leave, and then also to support mortgage payments, rent, utilities, and certain other debt obligations. One of the questions, I'm going to go back to this. One of the questions we get a lot is the 2.5 times, how they arrived at that number, because there is a forgiveness component that we're going to jump into here. So keep that number in mind as we roll forward. With the payroll protection plan, there is no collateral required. There's not even a personal guarantee required. So this loan will be direct to your business. You will not be required, or any of your owners will not be required to sign a personal guarantee, and there will be no collateral, not even business assets taken as collateral for this. The interest rate for the Paycheck Protection Program, and this is, one of the things, I think Leah said at the top of her talk as well, that things are changing daily by the hour. The interest rate on this program has changed 3 times in the last 4 days. It originally started at 4%. Yesterday, or the day before, it came out that it was going to be at 0.5. Now it's 0.5 with a maximum of 4%. We are still waiting for, and I got an email about an hour before we jumped on this call direct from the SBA, that they are still writing the rules for this program and that they'll be available to all of the banks sometime today or tomorrow. So patience is going to be key through all this, and I know it's tough because there's a lot of people who are in pain right now and trying to figure out how their business is going to get propped back up and things like that. So just patience with all this. We're all doing the best that we can to help everybody get through it, including the federal government. So, and that's kind of what this statement here says. This information is accurate through April 1st. Sorry, that's me clicking too fast. And there we go. Okay. Accurate as of April 1st. There are no fees going to be charged to the business owners. There's no prepayment penalties either. And the principal and interest payments are going to be deferred on this program for 6 to 12 months. Again, we don't have information yet as to what the criteria is going to be for the deferral, if it's going to be something automatic, if it's going to be done based off of loan amount, industry. We don't know that information yet. The non-forgiven, I don't really like the term unforgivable, so we'll use the non-forgiven portion of the PPP loan, can be currently repaid over 2 years. The SBA sets this payback period and it cannot exceed 10. So this is another thing. So it came out originally, this was going to be a 10-year loan. 2 days ago, it came back that it was going to be 2 years. Now it's 2 years up to 10. So again, we're waiting on the final rules. Again, 0.5% to 4% with some forgiveness. It's a great program to help get people back to work. Up to 100% of the principal amount of the loan may be forgiven if you use the proceeds on qualifying expenses. Guidance includes a limit of 25% of the forgiven amount that may be for non-payroll costs. So if you remember earlier, part of this loan can be used towards rent or mortgage interest, and utilities are the other forgivable expenses within this program. those are limited at 25%. So if your business, qualified for 100,000, you could have 25% of that going to rent or mortgage interest, or utilities. And the way they're doing the forgiveness is it's over the 8 weeks from loan origination. And we are still waiting on guidance. I don't think I did that one. I don't on what loan origination is. So is it the time you make application? Is it the time you actually get the money? Is it time that it's approved? Because those 3 dates will probably all be slightly different. So we're still waiting for final guidance on that as well as to when the forgivable period is. But the forgivable amounts are going to be calculated 8 weeks from whatever the federal government determines that loan origination is. And it says here, forgiven loan amounts will be reduced by reductions in employees and wages and can be mitigated by rehiring by June 30th. Canceled indebtedness will not be included in your taxable income. So they're not considering forgiveness or grants as income to the business either. That is the 5 to 10 minute overview of the PPP program. I'm going to run through, well, let's see, we got a bunch of questions popping up. So I don't know if you want to, if you want me to just start, I was going to say I can start taking them from the chat if you want.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You were really clear already that that you need to work with the bank that you have an existing relationship with.
Yes.
And obviously the reason I reached out to you guys is because that's where my relationship is. And that's why you're here. But my
Thank
question
you. We appreciate that. Yeah, no.
Yes. My question though is, and the banker that I work directly with, he's very patient with me because I want information quickly like everyone else who's on this webinar. So the application, I understand, has already changed several times. And my banker said, we expect it to maybe change again, but then I understand that you can start accepting applications tomorrow. So do we fill out this application that's out there? Do we wait? We want to make sure that what happens if we fill it out, give it to you, and then it's not the right one? I think everybody wants to make sure they follow the right process so that they are first in line. What should we do?
So the easiest way to answer that is the application that exists, and if you're not familiar with it, there's an application currently on the U.S. Treasury's website. It was put up, I believe, on Tuesday, late afternoon. We've been told that that is not the final version, but Lee, I would say it's a great place to start. So if you're in process of gathering your information, it'd be a great place to start. Worst case scenario, you're going to have to take that information and just transfer it to a new application, but it's a good starting place. And again, every bank is going to implement this slightly different to work with their technology, their systems. So again, that's where you go back to your individual bank for guidance. Like I know internally, PNC, we're having a call this afternoon for about 2 hours to start talking about our training and how we're going to implement this. Because yes, again, we are supposed to be able to take applications as of April 3rd. But again, keep in mind, like I said, an hour ago, we got an email from the SBA saying they're still writing the rules. So I'm not sure how, from what I've understood, there's a bit of a tug of war right now just on getting everything done and to the table because everybody wants to get money, again, out to businesses as quickly as possible. So they're trying to get this done quickly. And we're all trying to work as hard as we can to get everything ready as well. So
okay. All right. So let me fire some questions at you, Tom. You ready?
Yeah, I was gonna say, or if you want, I can take them right from the top. I can actually see the chat. I have them here. Like Keith's question's the first. If you want me to do it that way.
Tom,
sure.
Tom,
there's some both in the. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's like 9 or 14
Tom,
of them now.
Yeah, Tom, why don't you rattle them off, kind of like what we did the other day with the other group that we did.
So the first question is from Keith Impink, and I apologize if I say your name wrong. For the PPP, he's asking is, I'm assuming this is the payroll the last 12 months from 1/1/19 to 12/31/19, or 3/1/19 to 2/29/20. What we're hearing on payroll so far is they're going to want your quarterly IRS 940, 941s, or 944s for the entire year 2019, and then payroll reports for a 12-month period ending on your most recent payroll date. Those should show the following information, which is gross wages, paid time off, vacation pay, FMLA pay, state and local taxes assessed for every single employee that you have. I had a call with one of our clients right before this call, and he goes, hey, we just paid our people Friday, and then we laid them off as of, March 30th. Which payroll would I give you? He would give us the one for March 27th. So it would depend on when you ran your last payroll. You go back 12 months of payroll reports from when you last ran your last payroll. Next question is from Matthew Smith. For a 20-person for-profit company, which loan is better, PPP or EIDL, and why? Matt, really difficult for me to answer that question. We'll send you the comparison sheet. We'll send you a frequently asked question. I would suggest get with your CPA, get with an attorney if you work with them, take a look at both programs yourself and see which one is better. It may be a situation where you end up utilizing both programs, one for your payroll, one for some of the other expenses. But it's really going to be honestly a personal decision and a decision based on where your business is. Are you still open? Are you planning on reopening? Can you bring your people back to work, after you get this money for 2 months, and maybe they do some work around your shop or at your store, or maybe there's some non-customer facing work or work that they can continue to do with proper social distancing and everything else. So that's really the gist of it. The intent of the PPP program from the federal government is for that, though, for business owners to be able to have the capital while maybe they're not generating the same level of revenue, bring their people back and keep them working and keep money flowing into the American people's homes.
Hey, Tom, one other thing to add to this, to answer that question, and I think this is a very important thing for people to focus on. Not everyone is going to get the same set of loans, the same loan, or for the same purposes. I mean, the PPP, to Tom's point, is for payroll. The EIDL gives you the opportunity to take some funds and apply them towards working capital needs. So there is the possibility, as Tom mentioned, you can have both loans. And again, I think that's good, clear direction to really sit down with your advisors, your CPA, attorney, maybe even with your existing bank, and say, hey, I need some guidance here. How can I use each of these?
Yeah, like the best example I've heard over the last couple of days of where somebody may use both is, so you think about like a food supplier, especially a perishable food supplier right now. So maybe when all this first started, all the restaurants closed, everybody's business instantly dropped, and they may have been sitting on some produce that now has spoiled. And now the restaurants are reopening. We're seeing more takeout business, and they need to ramp up their inventory, but they had already spent money on that inventory that's gone now. They didn't get the revenue from it, so they need to restock. And that's kind of where the EIDL may help them with restocking to start sell again, but they also need to pay people because they lost that revenue as well. And so they would use the PPP to help from a payroll perspective, and then the EIDL for working capital, if that makes sense.
Great example, Tom.
Two similar questions coming up here from Dan Galbraith and then anonymous attendee. So it's both around sole props who are the only employees. And I'm glad you asked this question because I forgot to bring this up. So April 3rd, tomorrow, the application start date. Again, what we're hearing is it's going to be for corporate entities and sole proprietors with employees. So April 3rd is going to be the if you have employees date to apply for the payroll protection plan. April 10th is the start date if you are a 1099 employee or if you're a sole proprietor with no employees. They haven't, to answer the second part of the question, he said, I'm the only employee. How do I calculate this? Is payroll calculated at gross profit or net divided by 12? We haven't gotten guidance around how they're going to do sole proprietorships. I'm not sure if that's going to come out with everything else today or tomorrow. If, since the applications don't start on the 10th, if they're going to kind of say, we're going to put a pin in that for now, we're going to get this one up and we'll release the rules for sole props with no employees and 1099s next week. So I don't want to speculate on how they're going to calculate it, but I haven't seen anything on that yet. But great question, and thank you for bringing it up. Rachel Austin asked the question, if you have an employee that makes $125,000 a year, can you still claim them on payroll protection up to $100,000? Yes. And this is another great example of where maybe both of the loan programs work together. So maybe you claim them for $100,000 up to PPP to keep them employed, keep them working, and then you can apply through EIDL to cover the remainder of their payroll if you want to keep them fully paid at this time and you don't want to reduce wages, that kind of thing. So that's a great way to use both programs again.
And another component of the EIDL is the repayment term goes out to 30 years.
Yeah. And there's no prepayment penalty on either one of them. So the hope is when everything goes back to normal, you know, you can accelerate payments on it and get rid of it. And if it doesn't, the EIDL is 30 years, so the payment should be relatively low. The next question is, the forms are asking for a full-time equivalent. Does that mean 2 part-timers are equal to 1 full-timer? I have not had that question, but it's the second time I've gotten it today. I don't see anything right now in our literature, but I hate to assume things, but I would assume so, but I would continue as the rules come out. I'm sure they will clarify what is an FTE. So Charlie Fredrickson, sorry for not giving you a better answer right now, but I would imagine that is the case. But again, we don't have anything firm on that right now. So as the rules come out, we'll know more around that as well. Jane Chroma is asking, so the PPP can't be used for essential non-utility expenses. Do I need an EDL? So it can be used for any working capital. In order to qualify for the forgiveness, Jane, it has to be used on payroll, rent, utilities, and mortgage interest. So if you're looking for relief for something other than those, it's probably an EIDL is the better solution for the business in that situation. Anonymous, if I had 50 employees last year and subsequently furloughed 10 employees as a result of the COVID slowdown, and I now apply for a PPP loan, what number of employees should I list on the application, and on what payroll cost should I use to calculate? So I'm going to take the second half of this first. The payroll cost is the average of the last 12 months. So it should incorporate your full payroll. And number of employees, I would use your current, because I think they're also kind of trying to track how many people are hired back, and that's going to be a piece of the forgiveness, is if you did bring people back, and you ask those kinds of questions.
So there's some similar questions about needing to retain a certain percentage of employees if to be able to qualify for forgiveness. And what if an employee is already on furlough and unemployment? What happens if you call some of them back during this time? Do we know anything about those details?
Not yet. No, I know
they're making it up.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I was going to say that. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the intent is to get people back on payroll. So I'm assuming they want to get them off of unemployment as well, but we have not gotten final guidance on how all of that works. So that's some of the rules that we're waiting for. So, you know, we're giving you best information we have as of today. So, and like literally, I could probably get off this call and we'll have 3 new pieces of information that come in. So.
And so that question though, because that's come up a couple different times, and I think some of the people out there, some of the business people out there that are listening to us right now are already thinking this way, and I think you're probably correct. Given some of the changes to the unemployment, and given some additions to the unemployment, we may have situations where some workers are sitting at home saying, well, hey, it's better for me just to stay at home and take what the government's getting versus to go back to work because I'll be bringing potentially less. That is possible. And that's just something that, you know, I guess that would be a risk associated with taking a loan thinking that you're going to get 100% forgiveness and then coming out on the other side that potentially some employees may elect to not come back to work, and then what do I do? So again, they're making these things up as we go along in the SBA. And again, as Tom keeps reiterating, the intent here is to put money back into the hands of as many workers immediately, as soon as possible, to get the economy rolling back in the right direction. But go ahead, Tom.
All right. Yep, I was going to say we got about 9 minutes left, so I'm going to try and clip through some more of these questions really quick. So Jeremy Blueball asked 2 questions. Is the 3245047 form the most accurate? That is the one that was launched on March 30th by the U.S. Treasury. That's the one we were referencing earlier, that's the initial application. Again, I think probably most of that information will be what's on the final, but there'll probably be some things added to the final version. So again, wait for guidance from your bank, wait for guidance from the SBA. I'm going to take Keith's question next, because it's just a quick answer. Do you have any idea how long it'll take from the day we fill out the application and turn it into our banker and when the loan would actually be made? Honestly, no clue. We've heard it's going to be fast, but we don't have any idea yet how long it's going to fund, because again, we don't know the rules. We don't know even what we have to fully collect yet. And I say the we, not as PNC, we as all of the collective banks in the country. So the intent of this program is to get money in business owners' hands fast, hence the no collateral, no personal guarantees, the just using payroll to underwrite. So we're anticipating fast, but what fast means to each one of us on the phone is something different. So I don't want to even hazard a guess as to what it'll mean for us.
Tom, do you think you could, I guess, to put all of that in context, based upon other disaster loans and other situations that have occurred previously with the SBA and your experience, can you kind of briefly speak to what the process is? And I think taking it from customer gathers all the information, it goes to the bank enters it in, and then what's next?
For this program?
SBA gets it, SBA generates a funding number, kicks it back to the bank.
Yeah, we don't,
banks,
we don't know, Chris, right now.
That's
yeah,
still,
we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all still, that chapter's still being
up
written.
in the air.
Yep.
And so I think,
again,
I think for everybody that's listening, that's kind of where we're at.
So and this is one of the big pieces of, I would say, information that's been confusing a lot of our customers, because they see people on the news, they see different news outlets saying, you're going to apply and walk out of the bank with this money the same day. I don't think that's a realistic expectation to set. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I just don't think it's realistic. I think it's creating a situation where you're going to have, a lot of upset people in a time where everybody is already concerned. So anonymous attendee, I'm going to take this one again. It's the third one down, Leah. I saw you're clearing them. So can we wait until the middle of April to file, or would that be too late, and would the funds not be available anymore? Honestly, again, don't have any idea. We're hearing that it's going to go quick. Again, this is something that I heard twice yesterday on the news myself, that they think the money is going to be gone in a day. It's $349 billion. I don't know if it'll be gone in a day. I don't even want to begin to speculate on that. But if it's something you feel you're going to need, I would get your stuff together and get with your bank as quickly as possible.
Yeah, do it right away. So
yes.
one of our clients is the Economic Growth Connection, and here in Westmoreland County, they were accepting applications for the PETA loan, the state loan. They have already closed it, so it's not accepting any more applications. It went very quickly, and there were people who were quite upset because they were still in the process of putting stuff together. But that's how it is. This is going to happen quickly. So you have to have your ducks in a row, and that's why when both Chris and Tom are saying, get with your CPA, your accountant, your attorney, that team that helps you to make these decisions, they're going to be critical right now to make sure you take right action.
Right.
We would tell you, you don't have a lot of time to mull over what you're going to do.
All right. And I'm going to take I'm going to take the last question in the queue right now, just because it's been one that's been asked a lot to us as well. What would disqualify us for a PPP loan? And the question specifically is, It sounds like they've experienced a decline in revenue and now a further decline due to the coronavirus pandemic. They are not looking at tax returns. They're not looking at profit and loss statements. They're not looking at balance sheets in our understanding as of right now. The direction we've been given is to collect the payroll reports and those payroll tax forms that we talked about. So they're not judging it that way, if that's the question. And then Jane Cromo, right above it, I have fewer employees this year, losing 2 last fall. They're in last year's payroll, but not this year, so we don't count them. No, you would not count them in your employee count, but they would be part of your average payroll for the last 12 months. Julie Zanoni asks, can we use the PPP to pay employees payroll not permitted to work due to being stated as unessential work to try to retain the employees instead of being on employment? Yes, that's the intent of this. So what you pay them for is up to you. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole intent of the program, is to get people back to work, to keep their payroll going. And that's kind of where I was saying, like, you know, I worked for small businesses for a number of years. I know one of my old employers, if he could have paid us all to come and, you know, clean the lot and wash cars and do whatever, we would have been there doing all that stuff. So however you want to handle your employees and bringing them back and utilizing these programs is up to you. Another question.
I love this. I was going to just real quick, Tom. I love the spirit of that. You know, because I think everyone here that's on the line is a business owner, and prior to all this, we would all, inclusive of myself, we would all say that our most important asset is our employees. So again, the spirit and the intent of this is to get money into the hands of our employees and get them back to work. And if that is not possible because you can't figure out another way to run your business, I love the spirit of, I'm going to pay my people and help them through this time until we get a green light and we can get back to work. That's the intent of this PPP loan. Go ahead, Tom. And I think we got maybe a time for maybe one more quick question.
Sure. I'll take a few more. I got a few minutes. My 1:30 pushed off a little bit, so I can hang out for a few more minutes and try and get through the rest of these questions if we can.
Go ahead.
Jim Graham's question, for an S Corp, does the owner's pay get calculated into the loan amount? Yes. Up to $100,000, as long as it's part of the payroll and W-2. We're still waiting for guidance if you took income as distributions. And I wanted to take that question specifically because that's one that we've been asked a lot. The other one's right there with it is they applied on the link at the bottom of the EIDL page 2 days ago. I have a retail store and I'm a sole proprietor with no payroll. Without being open, I need funds to pay rent, utilities. You mentioned this is available till the 10th. Was it wrong to apply? No, the EIDL program has been available for a couple weeks now. That is fine to apply whenever. You can go apply for it right now if you want. As soon as we hang up, the website's up and running and they're taking applications through the EIDL program at any point. So if a sole proprietor decides, hey, maybe that's my better bet, I'm just going to go there, you absolutely can do that. Or if somebody was concerned about funds running out, go to the EIDL program. That one is up and running right now. You can apply for it today. So no, not wrong at all. Next one is PNC accepting applications tomorrow. Yes, we will be.
For our customers.
Yeah, my business, so Camille Kovac asked the question, my business opened in September of 2019. Any guidance on applications for relatively new business? I've been trying to find it while we were on the phone. There is some guidance around seasonal employees and newly started businesses of how to prorate and how to calculate your monthly payroll. So yes, there is answers. I can't find it at my fingertips right now, but we have a document that I will share with Chad and Leah, and they can share with you as well. Full-time equivalent is an HR math equation. Oh, okay, so Heather was helping me out with the question before that you can look it up online. Donna Zerjav, my bank has told me they're going to look at applications for their customers first before looking at business customers. Is that what all banks are going to do? Yes, that is our understanding right now because of the difficulty right now, because we can't perform the know your customer stuff like we normally would when all of our branches are open, when we're all in office, when your businesses are open. So the clients that we know already by having an established relationship is what the federal government is asking us to do. And Lutz Hedrick asked, do all these rules apply to companies which are owned by private equity from Europe but still incorporated in the US? There's still guidance coming out around foreign-owned companies and private equity-owned companies, so wait for final rules on that. I'm going to click these through because we did. All right, let's see. Workers' comp expense included in payroll. Again, final guidance is coming on what everything will be. Somebody asked what's included in utilities. My assumption is, gas, electric, water, sewer, telephone, internet are typically what they consider as utilities. So there'll be final guidance as to what does and doesn't count, but I would think those would be the utilities that we look at. And Brian Leecast asked the question, when calculating average monthly payroll, do you use net cost of health insurance or do you use the total paid to the insurance company? Not 100% sure. That's another thing we'll wait for final guidance and final calculation on. From an accounting standpoint, we answered this one earlier. It is, if it's turned into a grant, it does not get treated as income. They're looking at this as a rescue program, not an income program. And then the last big question here, we are an essential healthcare business operating as a sub-S Corp. We are continuing to provide services on an emergency or essential care basis with limited appointments to minimize client contact. So income is reduced and employees may not get as many hours. We have employees who do not wish to work because of personal situations. How must we handle that in order to comply with 100% retention of employee payroll? Does being a sub-S Corp affect anything? No, sub-S does not. And again, this is up to you. So the forgivable piece will be based on your next 2 months of payroll. Some of our business owners have told us they're going to hire other people and allow their old employees to go on unemployment. If you can't force them to come back, but it's your business and you have to make decisions that are right for you, your employees, and your clients' needs going forward. So that's all I would say to that is whatever you think is best, handle it. The payroll forgiveness will be based on your payroll for the next 8 weeks. And then the last question, how do we submit an application to PNC? We are a customer. We should have that answer and should be delivering it to our clients directly for those we have contact information and somebody has talked to already. If not, continue to check back to pnc.com. We have a lot of this information, and again, this is not a PNC commercial, it's just the resource we have available. So on pnc.com, we have a CARES Act page that has a lot of the same information that we shared with you today is out there. Again, not a commercial, just stating a fact that we have it there. And so the information on how to apply will be there as well as soon as we know, but we're still figuring all that out ourselves as to how we're going to do it, as I think most of the banks are right now, and still waiting on the final rules. So I think we hit all the questions. Sorry I plowed through them kind of quickly, but just wanted to make sure we took the time to answer every question that was there.
You did a really great job. There's one final question that might be helpful. So if it's a sub-S Corp, but the owner is not on payroll, they only get paid from distributions, net profit. How do you count that for payroll?
We're not sure yet. Yeah, so that was the one. Okay. That was the one question. We don't know how they're going to handle owner distributions. We haven't seen anything around that. Everything that they've stated so far is just around payroll.
Payroll.
So
okay.
Just around payroll and just around getting those workers paid, getting those workers back to work, and getting the economy back up and running. Tom, thank you so much. Awesome job. I know you've done this a gazillion times just over the last 24 hours. Leah, thank you so much. Leah and Chad, thank you so much for the opportunity. Hopefully we provided some help. And again, as Tom indicated, we got a ton of resources out there on pnc.com for everybody. And then as we get the final green light for our clients, we'll be able to communicate that out to them appropriately as well, so that people can start taking applications. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Leah, Chris, and Tom. The Chamber is happy to have you, your presentation.
Thanks for having us, Chad.
Thanks.
Thank you. And for everyone else on the call, my final word is just that we have this additional resources right here directly to the U.S. Treasury website to get up-to-date information as they post it there, the information about the EIDL from the SBA disaster loan site. The Westmoreland County Chamber has partnered with the Economic Growth Connection and the WIDC to get businesses in our region information quickly. We've had this website here, and then I've also been collecting information and putting it on a website too, because there's just not just financial, but ideas for managing your teams, for getting yourself through this mentally and emotionally, because it's tough for everyone. This is not something that's easy. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm providing relevant information for anyone. And the final word is that this meeting was recorded. After that recording processes, we will send a link to the recording and the rest of the resources that were mentioned, that data sheet and all of those things, so you have a copy of those. So expect that sometime in the next few hours. Thank you very much for joining us today.